Now that we have installed the CPU on the motherboard, it's time to install the motherboard into your case. Bring back the I/O panel you pushed off to the side before. You'll install that first. You have no need for your SATA cables yet, so push those off to the side again. These cables right here, which is typical only for ASUS motherboards, if I'm right. If not, well, these anyway. I'll show you what these do in a second. And all the screws and everything in this little speaker that came with your case. Okay, now that we turn the case around, you have your I/O panel right here. That stands for input/output panel, if you don't already know. Sometimes these can be pretty finicky in trying to get stuck on. Some are easier than others. Also, watch your fingers because you can get caught. I cut myself pretty badly actually once, the first time I installed one of these. In this case, it seems to be a little bit cheap, so it's actually not wanting to stay in. So, well, actually, it stays right there, but it could pop out. So once you got it in place, once the motherboard's in, it should hold it in. You just press it in, it'll pop on, and you'll know when it locks in once you get the motherboard in. And now we can move on to installing the motherboard onto the case. Before we actually put the motherboard on the back panel, well, actually, like I said, we are going to install these things. These actually go over this. Just make sure you have them lined up. You read the pins like so. It goes actually this way. You look at the pins on the bottom to what they are there. The 4 on the right. See a line with the 4 on the right here. And you actually plug this down like that. And what that does is it makes it easier to plug in your front panel connectors, and I'll show you that when we get the board screwed on. And also, this motherboard also came with this USB extension thing right here. These 4 ports right here, these blue ones, or USB expansion ports, like the front 2 USB ports on your computer have to connect somewhere on your motherboard. And that's what this does here. It makes it easier. It only gives you one, but it makes life easier when connecting your USB stuff to it, so you don't have to actually go down there and know what pins. That's what the paper was that came in the case, that showed what pins go where, and this makes your life way easier because you can read on the side here what pins go where. Next, that bag of screws that came with the case, it'd be best to sort these out and put them in the small little cups. But if you don't have those, you can do kind of like me on the desk, and just make sure you don't like knock them off or anything like that. But these right here are going to be your motherboard spacers, and that's what we are going to put in first right here. I'm going to go up here, zoom out, focused on that. And then if you see right here, I have one installed. You just install one at a time, just screw in like that. What this does, you get space between the motherboard and the case so that your pins on the back don't touch and things like that. Just quickly screw in all of these here. It's easy to screw in by hand. We actually, in the case of this board, you see the inside holes. Is a micro ATX board, so you might not actually use all these, so I might have to unscrew them. I'm not sure. All these holes right here could be for a ATX. I don't think I will use this one. Maybe not even these two, but I'll just screw them all in anyway, and then unscrew them if necessary to get the board on. Okay, that's all of those. Well, it gave me, but it looks. Suppose you can kind of look down on your board and see what ones go where. Seems like I won't even have one right here actually. That's for an ATX board. So let's take that one off. This one should be there. The one up top should be here. I think, unless that's. We'll see. I'm looking at my motherboard over on to the left over there. Okay. When we got those in, we're gonna just line up the motherboard and see if we're right anyway. Kind of your I/O panel in there. Make sure you can actually see what I'm seeing. Okay, you can. Got the motherboard up against the I/O panel. Sometimes it will pop off, cause issues, so it might be best to even just take off the I/O panel for now, which I'm gonna do. Just pop it off. Of course, now it gets stuck in there. Okay. Set this down real quick. It's best not to get frustrated if you get stuck somewhere like this. Is frustrating that it wouldn't get stuck before, and now all of a sudden it's too stuck. Okay, got that out. I bent it just a tad, but it shouldn't hurt it any. Get that back in view. You see here, your motherboard goes like this. Make sure you have your ports on the left here, and that will go in here. And you see the little holes. You should be able to see your tiny holes right here, and those spacers line up with those holes across the motherboard. You'll see in your motherboard manual. I'll show you where all the holes are. It seems like I got every single one right. Yep, every single one's right. For this is a micro ATX board. An ATX board will go down here, and you have the holes will be in a different spot. All I'm gonna do is change the video now and do a in-down view of the case so I can get this right. Okay, with the case turned on its side, you will put in the motherboard like I showed before. Make sure you get all your cables out of the way like I did right here. Just get them out of the case, out of your way. You might have a little bit of trouble with the I/O panel. I usually do. You might get lucky because these the metal plates that you'll know what I'm talking about on the I/O panel. The things that were sticking out that made the I/O panel not flat. Well, we're getting in the way of the ports coming out the back. As you see here, and we're causing a lot of pain. So that took a few minutes to get organized. But once you get that in, get the I/O panel on before you put the motherboard in, and then we move over here. I'm gonna go readjust this, move over here, and I'm gonna show you screwing in the motherboard. Okay, as you can see here, I have the motherboard placed down in the case in the right orientation. I said before not to use a magnetic screwdriver like this, but in all seriousness, I really don't think there's anything on this unless you had a really strong magnet that it's gonna screw up. Just don't purposely hit the screwdriver to stuff. But it makes it way easier when you're trying to push the motherboard over and get it onto the I/O panel, that everything fits, that the screw will slide in easy without falling off. It's good to do, like I said, on the fans to space out where you screw in. And this, I think they are 8. Do not over tighten these. It's not good though, because you could take the chance of cracking the motherboard. I haven't personally done that. I haven't really heard of that, but since these boards are just, I think, not sure what they're made out of, silicon or made out of plastic, I guess, whatever. But still a chance of splitting the board, and you do not want that to happen. Let's get these evenly screwed on here. As I said before, this is a micro ATX board, meaning you had an ATX, you'll see the screw hole right there. Your board will go all the way down and cover up that gap right there. Micro ATX, obviously what the name is a smaller motherboard. Usually it just has less expansion ports, a different chipset. Sometimes usually not as good at overclocking and such like that. Find that port. This one over here. Typically, it's the flat screws as well that like I have here. I don't know if you can really see that screw. But those are the ones that go in versus like this screw right here. You can see it has like a little design on the bottom. Those are the ones that like connect all your DVD drives and hard drives and all that stuff to the case. That, make sure there's no extra, just double check. Even though, I mean, it's secure now, but you just want to make sure. And it looks like all of them are filled. It's kind of, it's not going anywhere. Now lift it up. Like that. These cables back in. Lower it in my tripod. Focus, and you can see the motherboard's now on. There's a few more steps we have to do. I'm going to set this back here. See, we probably should have did this beforehand, but this is your little speaker. We'll do this now. I'm going to go move this around and get in better light so you can see better. And if I show you right here, if you look right here, it says plus 5 volts, positive, ground, and speaker. The positive will be your red, and you just put it in like this, and your speaker's connected. I mean, it's kind of freestanding like that. Speakers are different, like my other case has a really long speaker right here, and it just coils all out like that, and I just stuff it somewhere. This one freestands right there. Now we got your case wires. We're going to get these hooked up. This one by one. You can reroute these however you like. I think I'm just going to put these here and then stuff them back later. This is your reset switch. So we're going to go look in here. I'm going to have to tilt this. I think actually it's easier if you pull this out and plug everything into it, because it shows everything. It says reset ground. Like that, ground would be black, I'm gonna assume. And then got your power LEDs right here. Should probably refocus that on my hand. Okay, now I got that refocused. Got your power LEDs, that's on this side. Positives right here, it says. The negative is right here. Just like that. Then we come over here. This is your hard drive LED light. And that shows it being over right here. Positive is your red. It's like that. Make sure. I don't think it said any different. Yep. And you come over here. I don't think it. Yep. Here's your other cables. You can't forget your power cable. And otherwise you can't turn on your computer. Definitely there's been a couple times I've actually between me and my friends, we've accidentally fiddling around inside the case, have unplugged this one of these cables accidentally, or when we first built the computer we actually put these in the wrong port or got them backwards, since they really don't tell you very well what's positive and negative, since green, I mean, it says green is positive, but I would think sometimes that'd be negative. But so white in this case is negative. So sometimes it's a troubleshoot kind of thing. But you'll get it eventually. If it doesn't turn on, this is probably one of the first things you should check before anything else to make sure it's on. I mean, it's on. It's plugged in correctly. Now that everything's plugged in there and they make it really simple, Just plug this back in, get it on the right side, just like that. Plug it in, as easy as that. Just stuff all these cables back here for wire management. Makes the inside of the case look nicer, more professional look, if you will. It's like that. Just kind of assume all this the back panels on, all this cables like that. Now you have these cables. You have HD audio and AC97. I think it's different depending on the board. USB was plugging the USB first here, and you see right here this port. You don't have to use this, you can just plug it right in, but it helps for the first time to know what goes where. And it really only plugs in one way actually. So you just plug this in. Yeah. Just like that. Plug it in there. Now you have USB to your front panel. Get this unwrapped from here. Kind of bring that back here, like so, to keep wires nice and clean. And then you'll have to look, depending on where it is. I'm going to refocus it again on the case. And sometimes you just look right here. It says SPDIF outs, this right here, and that's not what you want. You want AAFP, front panel audio. If I'm right, it's actually gonna be, since I don't use this, I've never actually hooked it up, so, and bear with me on it. That's where it connects in. I don't know if it specifically matters HD audio or AC97, but I'm going to assume it's probably HD audio is what it wants. I'm going to plug that port into here. Just like that. Just kind of have this wrapped around here. If I'm wrong, well, it's just the easy fix of opening up your case, switching the two cables around. So it's a lot of these. Sometimes there's a trial and error. So yeah, I guarantee you, even like people who've been building computers for like 20 years, still have these same issues that they have. I don't know what one goes where, and because each motherboard can be different. And like I said, like I've never built it, used this before, so it's a new experience for me as well. So I think that's everything to installing your motherboard. Next to, we forgot your fans right here. I'll install that real quick. Remember that this is called a 3-pin power connector. This motherboard, which I forgot to include when I was looking up, only had one, so that's pretty inconvenient, but luckily enough, I have a spare adapter that allows me to go from a 4-pin power from my power supply to a 3-pin like this, and they actually see it. But I plugged it in. Let me show you right here. There's a 3-pin port right here for the fan. Plug that in here. Kind of have it wrapped around. It's just tiny little cable that's coming out from the fan versus having the cable hang out everywhere. You get better airflow. And there's no actually other 3-pin ports. As you saw before, it's on the CPU. You have this up here. Now, as you can see right now, the motherboard is installed just like that. Very easy. I think the hardest part was these cables, which, if you're wrong, it's just trial and error. It's not anything like, doesn't turn on, don't freak out. I mean, I have before. And don't panic. Just come back in, make sure these are right. Just check the power first. If it doesn't beep, well, the speaker's probably wrong. That could be wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I will admit I'm not terribly experienced at this, and this is only my third personal computer I've built. I've messed around with many others, but personally built, this is my third, so still learning. And I just wanted to, like, that's why I'm making these. I wanted to continue my education on to more people. And next, you'll be going on to installing the DVD drive into this computer right here. If you have any questions, remember to comment below and continue watching.